Do you want to make sure you get guaranteed ongoing positive media exposure for your care homes in order to promote their quality of care, to get the word out there about your care homes to local audiences, particularly private pay families? Do you want to make sure that stories like this, like this, like this, like this, like this are always covered for your home in your local media, read by your target local audiences? Well, if you do, I am now going to tell you the methods and processes that will guarantee that when you pitch your story to the local media, in whichever region that is, you will get at least one piece of coverage by your target media for that story. Now, we've been doing this for a number of years for a number of care operators, and we are also former journalists, so we know how the media works, we know how to pitch a story, and we know how to follow up and what kind of stories those journalists are looking for. So I'm going to tell you those exact processes, and if you follow them, you will secure ongoing positive media exposure for your care homes. That is guaranteed. And when I say ongoing, you should be looking for at least 9 or 10 pieces of positive media exposure for your care home. That's per care home. So if you're a care operator, that is what you should be gunning for each of your care homes. So let's go straight back to the beginning. The most important thing, of course, is you have a great story. That is the key to everything when working with journalists, is you need to have a good story to pitch. And the great news is that every care home has a great story, and that can be anything from their particular dementia care, the activities that they may have that might enable their residents to be stimulated, or to have therapeutic benefits if they have dementia, for example. It may be around a birthday party for someone who is 100, let's say, and perhaps your care home has supported them. And if you are doing such a birthday related story, my recommendation is always make sure you get the back story to that resident. So let's say George is 100. If that is the kind of story that you have, make sure you get all the photos that illustrate the life of that particular resident, if they give their consent. And 9 times out of 10, in fact 9.5 times, in fact, well, I wouldn't say 10 out of 10, but certainly 9.5 times out of 10, the residents and their family is happy to give consent, celebration of their special day. And the great thing is, if you get a photos from that particular resident's life, you can create this wonderful story of that resident who is being supported at your home. Other ideas are good CQC reports. Don't miss that opportunity. Local journalists love good CQC reports. They also love bad ones, but we are looking here at positive media exposure. Any particular staff achievements, any particular staff who have been at your home for a long period of time. Let's remember that nationally there's a care crisis, let's call it that, around recruitment. And if your care home has people who have devoted a considerable period of their professional life to care, that is always a strong story. Why I love care, why I have a passion for care, and that will portray your staff in a good light. So those are just some of the examples. Those are good stories. That's the first thing that you need to have. Now, it may be that you don't think your care home has a wonderful story. Well, I know if I stepped into your care home right now, there's probably 2 or 3 or 4 stories off the cuff that would guarantee positive coverage in your local media if it was pitched appropriately. First thing, good story. Second thing, write up the whole news release, the whole news story for that journalist on a plate. So put on a great headline. So it might be, and this is a real life example. Secondly, make sure you write up the story completely for the journalist. So let's say 250 words, completely written up on a plate for them, so that when you are sending that news story, that news pitch, that news release, call it as you like, via email, they have got it and they've got everything they need. So that news story and that news release needs to be complete. It needs to have a great headline, such as, and it needs to convey all the main points about the story, such as full details about the activity, full details about the home, full details about the particular resident you might be supporting, full details about your manager or your staff, if it is about them. And you need to put quotes in. That's quotes ideally from obviously your manager, but also your resident or their family members. Again, 9 times out of 10 they are happy to cooperate, and if you're coming in with a strong human interest angle, that's always key to a good care home story, the human interest angle around your particular resident and how you as a home are supporting she or he. That will help immensely. So you've written your story, and you then need to make sure that you send it with an eye-catching headline, and put that eye-catching headline in the subject line of your email, such as, that headline tells the story to the journalist that you're pitching to immediately. The last thing you want to do is a subject headline such as news release ? Or possible news story. Put in the subject line, put in the headline in the subject line. Journalists like that, they are always after a story, so grab their attention with that headline in your subject line of your email. And then also make sure you include, this is the third point, good photographs. Good photographs ideally taken by an editorial photographer. That's not a commercial, a portrait, a wedding photographer, but an editorial photographer who is used to taking photos for the media. Make sure you ideally commission an editorial photographer to take those photos, which are then yours and can be used in a whole array of PR and marketing avenues for your home. Includes a selection, 5 or 6, with that news release. Now, the great thing is about the photos, if you've got eye-catching photos, they can make the difference between a quarter-page article for your home or a full-page article for your home, such as, you see the difference that good photographs make. So that's all the hard work done. In fact, no, that's probably the easiest work. The next most important thing is you need to follow up. Don't forget, we're looking for guaranteed positive media exposure in your target media, so you need to follow up with the journalist once you pitch them their story. Why? Because sometimes journalists don't see it. Sometimes they forget your story. Sometimes they put it in an archive or wait and see folder. Sometimes it even drops into a spam folder, and sometimes even the journalists are away on holiday. Sometimes even a journalist has left and they've been replaced by another journalist. Sometimes they are sick. Sometimes they're just not attentive enough. So therefore you need to follow up. Why? Because you are following up with a good story, and journalists, as we know, are always interested in a good story, so your following up is worth your time. So do that follow up via email, do it via phone. What you want to do is make sure that journalist on your target media has seen your news story or news pitch at least, and they've told you that they're going to be using it, or they might ask you for some more information. But the most important thing is you follow up to check that they've got it, they've seen it, because let's remember, you've pitched a good story, and journalists love good care home stories, that if they've seen it, then it is going to be used. So if you use all of those processes, one, great story, and there will be many great stories within your care homes that journalists on your local media will love. B, you write it up as a news story on a plate for those target journalists who you have targeted. C, you've got a great headline to capture their attention. 4, you've included a great set of editorial photographs, eye-catching editorial photographs. And 5, you have followed up your pitch, just in case they've not seen it, or whatever reason it is that they have not located your story. If you use those processes, you will guarantee that that journalist will write up that story in your local media. Those are the processes to follow. So, hope that helps. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other videos like it.